Hey. Time for an out-of-this-world story from rSpace. Ah, yes, the classic Freudian slip. Nothing says, I'm guilty, quite like your mouth betraying you before your brain even had a chance. Today on rSpace, perfection is a performance. Cheating wife and her parents confronted me for leaving her hurt. I sent them the photos of their perfect daughter in the act. I, 37 male, have been married to Rachel, 35 female, for 10 years now. We knew each other since our college days, and we really had no interest in each other romantically. But we met each other by chance a year or two after we graduated, started talking, and realized how much we had in common. It didn't take very long for us to start dating, and after about 2 years of dating, I popped the question, and that was it. She never had any traits that I could have considered to be red flags. We dated long enough for me to be able to spot any if they existed, but she was a pretty simple woman, and I liked that about her. She was also very honest, which is part of what attracted me to her. I've dated women who hide way too much about themselves, and I hate dealing with that so much, because it is only after those relationships end that you realize how difficult it is for you to trust people. She felt like a breath of fresh air. Well, every good thing must come to an end, like they say, and it seems that the good thing that I had, or that I thought I had, with Rachel has come to its own end. I found out that my wife of a decade has been cheating on me. She's also the mother of our 2 children. I have seen attractive women during that time that have been married. I'll admit that I would have approached some of them had I not been married. But the thing is, I am married, and I will admit that. I have never been close to being tempted to doing anything with anyone that isn't my wife. It's why it's so hard for me to understand how she could cheat on me. Did she struggle with the decision? Did it just happen? None of that even matters, I know. Here's what happened, and how I found out about her affair. She works as a manager at a local business, and she has a few longtime coworkers who I know about. That includes me knowing about Carson, a guy who she has had several issues with over the years that she's worked there. As far as I knew, she hated his guts. That's why it was surprising when she was talking to me and accidentally addressed me as Carson. She immediately noticed, got flustered, and tried to play it off as a slip. The truth is, I know that people can sometimes accidentally call someone by the name of someone else who they interact with often. It happens. But the fact that this was a person who she probably interacted with as little as possible didn't feel right to me. I let it go, though, and it only came back up when it happened a second time. I think that was 2 or 3 weeks after the first instance. This time around, she was even more flustered, but I just acted like I didn't notice because I didn't want to go through the same song and dance again. She recovered quicker when she felt like I hadn't heard her mention him that time. That was what I needed to hear to know that something was going on. I thought it was possible that she and Carson were on better terms now, or had to work on some kind of project together. But if either of those was the case, I knew that she would have let me know what was going on. She didn't do that, and the fact that it happened twice in about a month is the reason why I decided to investigate and find out what was going on with her. If I had a lot more money than I do, I would have hired a PI, since that would have been the quickest and best way for me to get surefire evidence, but it would have been too expensive for me to explain away. So I decided to do things the classic way and just check her phone. When I did, I went straight to her conversation with Carson, and considering the way she talked about him, I expected to see that things were colder between them, but they talked like friends. They didn't talk much, but it clearly wasn't the tone of 2 people who didn't like each other. That was the first point when I wondered if the story she had given me about him was even true in the first place. It was entirely possible that she just did that so that I wouldn't have any reason to suspect him of being involved with her in any way. The only thing was that if there was ever any explicit messages between the 2 of them, they weren't there at the time, so I assumed that she might have deleted them. I'm surprised at how many stories I read of cheating partners who don't get rid of the evidence. If I was doing that kind of thing, I would. I wasn't convinced that there was nothing going between them. I really wasn't, because there was no other reason why she would tell me that the 2 of them didn't like each other. Meanwhile, the conversations told a completely different story. Since I didn't have the money for a PI, I told myself that I was going to confront Carson myself. Admittedly, I know that was a very risky move, but I wasn't thinking straight. Finding out that she seemed to have lied about him felt like it was giving me palpitations. I wasn't going to be free of that discomfort until I had some closure about the situation. So, the next day, which was a weekend, I had her staying at home. I decided to go out into town and see if I could figure things out with Carson. I wasn't even sure if he was going to be working that day, but I just took a gamble. When I got there, I saw him. It was easy for me to recognize him because he had sent her a picture of himself when trying to report something that wasn't right at their workplace. I walked up to him and he didn't seem to recognize me. I acted like I was a customer initially. Then when I read his name tag, which had his name on it, I mentioned that I was Rachel's husband. I noticed his demeanor change immediately, because up to that point, I hadn't asked for anything in particular. I hadn't asked to be shown some product or taken to a specific section. I'm sure he knew that there was an issue with me being there and coming straight to him. I asked him how she was. He said that he didn't know since she didn't come to work that day. He looked like he wanted to run away from the conversation that we were having, and that was the part that convinced me that he and Rachel had been up to something. I walked up to him, slowly, filling the gap between us, and I was about to try and bluff to get him to admit. But before I could even say anything, he backed up and said, "Man, it wasn't even my idea. I'm sorry." I think the fact that I go to the gym and it shows intimidated him. He was a relatively scrawny guy compared to me. I didn't say anything, but he started singing at that point. He said that it hadn't been happening for long. He said she had told him that we were getting separated. He said that she was the one who had insisted on it. He just kept telling me everything, without me saying a word. When he was done talking, I let him know that it would be a very good idea for him to stay away from her, and it'd be an even better idea for him not to tell her that I had come around. He promised that he wasn't going to say anything. When I turned around, I could hear as he walked quickly down the aisle that we had been in. I'm sure that I would have gotten it out of him in one way or another, but the fact that he made it so easy for me is something that I appreciated. I already had such a strong suspicion that something was going on between the two of them. He only served as confirmation. If he had acted as if there was nothing going on between them, I would have taken the financial hit and gotten a PI. Thankfully, that wasn't necessary. As I left her workplace, I went straight to a divorce lawyer's office to talk about the entire situation. Before I left, I made sure to pay his retainer so that we could get the ball rolling. I wanted to wait until the papers were ready before I confronted her. At this point, I'm looking forward to it. I know that I'm holding in a lot of negative emotions that I'm feeling, so the sooner this is over, the sooner I can let them out and feel like myself again. For now, I can't be myself, and I'm going to make sure that she takes the brunt of that. She thought that you'd never piece it together, like she's some kind of mastermind. Meanwhile, she's tripping over his name at the dinner table. Come on. She thought she had power over the situation, and she has absolutely none. She's about to learn that when you betray someone who actually gives a hoot, the fallout is real, and she'll have to sit in the consequences she created. Update 1. Hello everyone. I'm back now after having dealt with serving Rachel the divorce papers and confronting her about the affair that she was having that I just was lucky enough to stumble upon. I used to praise how honest she was as a person, but look at me finding out that despite all that honesty I thought she had, she knows how to be a very worst form of dishonest by being a cheater. When she was at work one day, I had her served with the divorce papers. Of course, she didn't see it coming, and I liked the fact that it must have been an embarrassment to her. I hope Carson was there to see it happen. I don't know if he was, but I do know that by the time we met at home, after several missed calls and messages that I didn't respond to, she was extremely confused, so I assume he never said anything to her. I asked her why she was so confused when she knew what she had done. I told her that our marriage was built on certain vows, and she had chosen to break those vows. There was absolutely no reason why I needed to have anything to do with her for the rest of my life. She kept playing dumb, claimed that I was avoiding telling her exactly what she did. It was at that point that I discreetly started recording on my phone, and I let her know that I knew about her situation with Carson. She acted shocked, saying that there could never be anything between the two of them since they basically hated each other. I let her know that I knew that that was a lie. I told her that I had spoken to him, and he admitted what they had been up to. I started pressing her buttons by pointing out that he said she had been throwing herself at him, that she was the one who started it and wanted to keep it going. I even added that he said that she acted desperate. I could notice that she was getting upset at something which was supposedly baseless, according to her. Even when I was done, she maintained that nothing inappropriate had happened between her and Carson, but her conviction was gone. I tried a different tactic at that point. I let her know that I always appreciated her honesty during the course of our marriage. However, she was vehemently denying something that I had already found out was fact. I told her that she didn't need to know how I found out, but I had, and that there was no point in her pushing herself to keep lying. I let her know that the outcome wasn't going to change because I already knew what the truth was. She went quiet at that point. She didn't speak until I asked her why she had done it. That was when she let me know that she didn't have a real answer for me. She claimed that she still really loved me, but work was a completely different world for her. And she found herself tempted in a way that she shouldn't have been. She decided to eat her cake and have it because it seemed like something that she would be able to get away with. She admitted to me that she lied about the situation with Carson because she thought it would keep me off her scent if I assumed that they simply weren't cool with one another. I felt horrible hearing my wife admit to her affair with one of her coworkers. It was horrible hearing her reasoning behind it and the steps that she took to make sure that I never found out. At the end of the day, though, I found out, and that's all that really matters to me. I made sure that she packed out of the house because I couldn't have her there anymore. She tried to plead with me on one occasion, but when she saw that I wasn't going to budge at all, she eventually gave up and went to pack her things. I don't know where she went to live, but that's none of my business. My hope now is that she signs the divorce papers properly so we can get things started and moving on with our lives without wasting too much time. Update 2. I know that this update is coming very soon after the last one, but that's because I have found something pretty heartbreaking. I think I would have liked it if I hadn't found this at all, since I was already going to get divorced from her. Her laptop was one of the things that she left behind after she moved out of the house. She only took her essentials, so I wasn't surprised it wasn't one of the things she was really thinking about. When I saw the laptop, I just had a whim to go through it and see if there was anything there that would let me know more about the affair that she was having. The answer to that was yes, because there was a zip file in her downloads folder that was named Bad Girl. When I unzipped it and looked through the photos there, I wished I had seen it a lot earlier, since it would have saved me a lot of trouble in the whole run-up to the divorce. They were naughty pictures of her that were taken by Carson, and I assume zipped and sent over to her. I can't post a single one of these here or anywhere because of how explicit they are. They're pictures of the two of them in various acts, and her face is super clear in a bunch of them. I took the pictures with me anyway because they would help me prove the infidelity much better. However, I wish I had never had to see them, because it is one thing to just have your imagination when it comes to your wife cheating, but to have actual evidence of it, it's like torture. At this point, I want nothing more than for all of this to be over so that I can at least try to get over what she's put me through. Update 3. Hello everyone. I'm back with what should be my final update on this matter. Even if something else pops up, I doubt that I'm going to bother saying anything about it. But hopefully, I shouldn't have to make that choice. I am now a single man again, and as much as there's a lot of hurt and pain associated with it, I'm glad to be on my own again. I never knew that I would feel this way, but there's no point finding yourself tied to a woman who you can never trust again. This was a woman who just couldn't hold herself back from sleeping with her coworker because it seemed exciting to her. I don't want anything to do with that kind of person. The divorce was pretty straightforward. If I have to be entirely honest, I don't have to pay any alimony, which I'm glad about, but I do have to pay child support for our 2 children. We split custody 50-50. I get to keep the house too, which I'm very grateful for. There was no world where I would have been glad if she got the house. I put so much work into making the house as beautiful as it is now, so things worked out for me. Having the conversation with our kids obviously wasn't fun at all. I never wanted them to have to grow up in a broken home, but I had no power over that. I could have chosen to keep suffering with Rachel and eventually start resenting her, but that's not the kind of energy I want my kids to grow up around. It's far from it. It's better if we split, and they know love in their respective houses, than for us to stay together and they constantly have to see all of the hateful energy that we pour out towards one another. The biggest thing that happened after the divorce was Rachel's parents choosing to reach out to me. I didn't know where she had gone after I kicked her out of the house, but apparently she had crashed with a friend initially before she eventually went to stay with her parents. I don't know what she told them about the reason why we got divorced, but I'm sure that it wasn't the truth. So I was very upset when her dad called me out of the blue to confront me. He asked me if I felt like I handled the situation like a man. I told him that I had. That made him angry. He said that I had hurt Rachel, and I didn't have the right to do that. We had made vows to one another, and I owed her kindness at the very least. He said that choosing to leave her because she made a small mistake was cruel, and that I wasn't honoring my vows. I asked him if cheating was his idea of a small mistake. He paused for a second, and then he said that I was lying. He said that she wouldn't cheat on me. He let me know that his daughter was a perfect girl, and that she always had been. And for full context, she's an only child, so that might make his behavior less surprising. In the background, I heard her mom yelling, calling me a liar for even suggesting that she cheated on me. They asked if I had any proof of her cheating. I told them that I would send them the audio recording from the day I confronted her, and then I hung up and sent it to them. After some minutes, her dad called back and claimed that she was clearly under duress. He said that I was intimidating her, and he could tell from my tone. She was scared, and she said what she thought she had to say so that I wouldn't hurt her. It irritated me so bad that I hung up, grabbed her laptop, and took the nearly 1-hour drive over to her parents' place. She wasn't there when I got there. I heard her mom call to her to let her know that I was there out of the blue. I let them know that I wasn't going to be there for long, and I opened the laptop and showed them the contents of the zip file. I showed them the pictures where it was clearly her, and I showed them the timestamps. It was also great that Carson's face showed in some of the pictures, so they knew it wasn't me. Her mom gasped when she saw the pictures. Her dad just said nothing. I told them that that was their perfect daughter. That was the person that they were trying to defend, without even getting the full story or trying to give me the benefit of the doubt. I handed the laptop to them, letting them know that it belonged to her anyway. She was a cheater, and they had no right to confront me over what they didn't know. Before I pulled away in my car, Rachel pulled up. She shot me a look, and when she saw the way her parents' faces were, she started to panic. She told them that whatever I told them was a lie. They didn't say much until her dad shouted at her and told her that they had seen the proof of her affair. I interjected there to let her know that she should have deleted the mementos that she and Carson had made during her affair. Tears started falling down her face, and I heard her say, "Daddy, it's not what it looks like." To be honest, I had had my fair share of drama, so I just drove off at that point. The last time I had to pick up the kids, I could tell that she hated me, but she didn't say anything. That's all I really need, to be honest. I need her to feel the effects of lying and cheating. I hope that we'll be able to co-parent without too many hiccups, because if she tries and brings her grudge with me to that arena, I'll have no mercy for her. For now, things are fine. I'm no longer married to her, and I've made sure that her precious parents know the truth about her, and that's enough for me. Watching her parents scramble once the evidence was laid bare, absolutely delicious. You didn't raise your voice, you didn't plead, you just let the facts do the work. The best part is that she thought she could keep up the act, thinking she was clever enough to cover her tracks, manipulate you, and look good to everyone else. Except she wasn't. You totally exposed her for exactly what she is: selfish, reckless, and utterly unworthy of the life she had. "Daddy, it's not what it looks like." It's entirely what it looks like. Ever had someone accidentally call you by the wrong name, especially the name of the other? How did you react? Share your stories with us in the comments. Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.